Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It is Women Investor Wednesdays. We're going live, but unfortunately, our guest is under the weather and could not join me tonight. So I already had two of you reach out. Are you starting? Are you starting? So I figured I would just come on live and say hi and talk about some things about acquisitions that I'm seeing recently. And if anyone wants to throw a question in the chat, I can answer them live. Hi, Maya. So it's very interesting. I have two groups of women that I would call them that were women who invest, an investor club, just loosely, not really organized group of women, just women who are looking to invest. And we're starting to, in the last 2 months, we have looked at over 6 deals. And I would say 6 months ago, if we looked at 1 deal a month, that was a lot. So I'm very excited that there are this many deals popping up. And I'll give you some examples of some deals. So one is a kiddie academy investment where a developer is building a kiddie academy and he's looking for money. They're looking for money for construction. We have this Friday, we're hearing another pitch from a boutique hotel investor who is looking for money they're buying an existing C-class franchise, and they're turning the hotel it's near a college town. They're going to turn it into more of an upscale boutique. They're raising money for that. We've recently had another hospitality group that is looking to raise money for their PIP. I think that's called something physical improvement program where they, fix up the hotel. We've had a fund that raises money to buy car washes, you name it. It's been very, very interesting all over the board, different asset classes. We have a multifamily one coming up. So what I share on these calls, I watch the decks, I watch the presentations, and then after the presentations, the presenters drop off of the Zoom, and then we collectively as a group discuss the investments. And it's so interesting how a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when we started this, when I started encouraging investors to bring their investment opportunities to these two groups, how not many women jumped in and asked questions because, they were still learning, right? And how many women jump in and ask questions now? I'm so proud. And most of the questions are things like, obviously, what are the fees, right? So the main questions of any investment deal is, what is the deal? Where is it located? Why do you as the investor think it's a good deal, right? So that's easy. And then what is the preferred return to the investors? What is the interest on our money while you're holding it? What is the promote? Meaning after you give us our interest and after you give us our equity back, what is the bonus that you take? That's called the promote. And then what are the fees? Do you take a guarantee fee, an asset management fee, an accounting fee, an acquisition fee, a disposition fee? The amount of creative ways people put fees in deals, super important to find out what the fee schedule is. And what I always encourage the investors to do is in the presentation deck, have a fee page. And whenever there isn't one, I find that suspect. If we have to ask the presenter what the fees are because it wasn't in the deck. The other question that I think is very important is how much equity are you, the investor, putting in the deal? So recently, I'm getting a political call. It says political call. Very funny. Usually they say spam calls. Now it just says political call. So What is bothersome when we see these decks is when the fees are double or triple the amount of the investment that the GP, the sponsor, is putting in the deal, right? That doesn't make me very comfortable. So these are the types of things that we as potential investors are looking at when presentation decks are presented to us. And we also obviously, we want to know what is the experience of the developer. The group we talked to this week who was developing the Kitty Academy had done, I think, 20 other freestanding, daycares and other similar uses. So great experience, right? We want to know what familiarity they have with the market. And if you start asking questions about the market, we would expect for them to have information about the market and knowledge about the market, because I always say it's important to know about your asset, but it's super important to know about the market, right? The market drives everything about the asset. If in this case with the Kitty Academy, they were building for a franchisee. Well, we wanted to know what the experience of the franchisee was. It just happened to be that they had another location with a waiting list, I think a town away. So we like that also. We've also been presented recently multiple single tenant deals, like in a fund, like 3 in a fund at once. So there's just so many different things. About 3 months ago, we were presented a warehouse small bay office. Make sure I get these terms right. Warehouse small bay office and an RV park piece of land, all on, I don't know how many, 4 or 5 acres in North Carolina. And the GP for that opportunity had great plans and ways to increase the income. And obviously, as a GP, you want to buy an asset, increase the income, right? Increase the value so that you can pay the preferred returns to your investors, return the equity, and then, we all work on house money. So it's been so much fun watching the ladies learn and jump in with their own questions as the more that we have been presented with these deals. So if any of you out there know of any deals that want an audience to review, a potential group of investors to review and give feedback on and possibly invest in, let us know. And we can connect you with these potential investors. If you are interested in investing and would like to be a part of the presentations to see if you're interested in investing and being educated, what I do tell all of the investors that present to us, I say, there's no guarantee that anyone's going to invest in your deal. For me, this is an educational pursuit where I'm trying to get more women investing. You know my story. I found out during COVID that 3% of all of the investors in commercial real estate, only 3% were women, and half of those were inherited or women that were signing on their husband's guarantees. So that meant I was part of 1.5%, and I created a mission. I started a mission, which started with a virtual summit and then 4 in-person summits. Our next one is March 4th through the 6th in Fort Lauderdale. And I cap it at 250 women because I'm finding now that the women in the audience, the attendees, are starting to invest with each other. Amazing. And so we have to keep it small because there's a trust factor there. And the women are starting to they meet each other and then they see each other subsequent years. That gives some comfort. And we meet at other times besides at that conference. And then I added this podcast because capping our summit at 250 women, I knew we could reach more women if we did this weekly podcast. I think I've interviewed over 110 women. Any of you out there that is a female, or that you have a wife that is an investor, I want every woman that invests, even in just her first deal, I want her on the podcast. So we are booked, I think, until December, but we're ready to open up January 2026. And my commitment is to do one of these every Wednesday night, if the person doesn't get sick at the last minute. So I want more women. So please send any women you know that are investors my way so we can get them on the podcast. And I want, the more that the women are educated, and I have seen this firsthand. I have seen a friend of mine who's a lawyer who used to analyze every deal down to the tiniest thing. And I used to tell her, my friend, you're never going to invest. You are the, smart people. You're going to find something. And, if you're a lawyer, you learn to avoid risk, and all investments are risky, but you just have to mitigate the risk. You have to do your due diligence to see if you can avoid or prevent serious risk, right? So through education, this woman, through education, through watching presentations and listening to the questions and getting the answers, in the last 3 months, I think she's invested in 3 deals. I'm so excited. And I've seen it firsthand. She was very scared, very risk averse, read all the documents, nitpicked, I don't know, to now just sign the documents, and she's on her 3rd deal. And it's all has come from education and participating in these deck presentations. So thank you, Maya. So if you are interested in, and Maya's asking me, what do I think about investing in gold? I don't know anything about investing in gold. I am queen real estate. So the calls to action are, if you know a woman that invests in real estate, I would love to have them on the podcast. If you know a woman that would like to participate in these deck presentations, email me, DM me, have them reach out to me. If you are a woman that would like to participate, reach out to me, Beth at azoradvisoryservices.com, or just DM me on any of these platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. If you'd like to come to the conference, we have sold 150 tickets. We have 100 tickets left. It's March 4th through the 6th, and you can go to bethazor.com and sign up. We do have specials for mothers and daughters. So last year, I think we had 9 mothers and daughters. I think the youngest was 13. Want to get the young women engaged early. And just keep watching the podcast. I'm sorry I don't have a guest tonight, but I was here. I wanted to show up, and Kellie will be back. We'll probably get her on maybe late December, early January. We can't wait to talk to Kellie, and we hope she feels better soon. So reach out, get involved, educate yourself. And if you have a deal that you want us to review, send us the deal. You never know. We might invest. All right. Have a great Wednesday night. Thank you all for being here, and we'll talk to you next week.